Welcome to the Do That Music Thing podcast, hosted by Christopher Foust and presented by 1840 Music Group. This is the podcast where we dive deep with the people pushing the music industry forward, whether it's managers making bold moves, promoters breaking new ground, lawyers changing the game, or artists blazing their own trail. We talk to the folks making it happen. Every episode is packed with real-world stories, strategies, and tactics you can use to grow your own career in music. If you're looking to break through or just stay sharp, you're in the right place. Let's get into it and do that music thing. Good morning and welcome to another amazing episode of the Do That Music Thing podcast. We are talking to movers, shakers, everyone making moves in the music industry and moving their careers forward. And today I have an awesome guest. I'm so pumped about this. I have Adrienne Reeves, founder of Versa Music Group. Adrienne, how are you this morning?
I'm feeling blessed. So happy to be here. I love your voice. I love you have such a radio voice. Like I was just tuned in. I'm like, who's the guest?
Well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And to get the show kicked off, we want to talk to you about what Versa Music Group does, who they work with, how it started, and how you kind of ended up where you are.
I love that. So, Bertha Music Group, we are a sync agency. We cater to independent artists, producers, songwriters, and just guide them in helping to land placements on whether it's TV, film, video games, commercials. We understand that, with this part of the business, it really does mean you have to have like your business together. So, helping artists get their songs registered, helping to sign up with PROs, BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, understanding your splits, the difference between the two copyrights of a song. So a lot of what we do is educating and being able to make sure that artists understand the business part and why it's important because when it's time to get paid, all this information is needed. So with that, we started the company in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. Originally, we started with the goal of wanting to do demo records. So doing demos for like major artists like at the time, Cardi B, Beyonce, Summer Walker, Chris Brown. Everyone was recording in Atlanta, which is where we started. And then we saw quickly like that part of the business is very gate kept. And if you are not what we call a cash cow or a certified hit maker, then you get overlooked. So with that, we knew we had something good. We knew we were sitting on gold. So we, pivoted a little bit and came across a lot of, or I'm not even a lot, but like a handful, uh, dope people who really took a chance on us. And um, we found that they were mostly based here in LA, which makes sense because all of the film studios are here. I mean, Universal, Sony, Netflix, Lionsgate, Paramount, you name it. Everyone's here in LA. So we were like, you know what? This is going good, but we could do better. So since then, we've been based. I mean, we have people on the ground in different cities, but we're mostly based here in LA, and it's just been a bit of a field day, and it's been fun just being involved in the landscape and seeing everything that's going on with Hollywood in real time, meeting people and still advocating for artists. And now we've more so taken a deep dive into the commercial space, which is extremely lucrative. Um, just, obviously like Hollywood and films and TV have slowed down. I don't even know if it's really slowed down, but it's definitely taking a turn right now, which is all these companies are buying and selling each other, and there's just a huge shift that's happening in real time and a lot of uncertainty. So with that, we've just seen way more success in the commercial and advertising space, and it's been a lot of fun because it can range anywhere from an NFL commercial to a social media campaign with Diageo and Ciroc, or even a coffee campaign starring, a Spanish record. So it does allow you to have kind of like the open range, and it's most of the times the fees are really, really nice. So, but yeah, that's where we at with it.
That's awesome. I love it. So I'm from Nashville, right? Just up the road.
Mhm.
And coming from Atlanta, Atlanta has such a rich music history, and but it's a very unique, you know, music geography. Kind of like, like there's only one Atlanta, there's only one Nashville.
Yep.
Moving from Atlanta to Nashville, or moving from Atlanta to Los Angeles,
hmm
how was that experience? What is the difference like in industry?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So personally, my journey leaving Atlanta was actually really, really easy. It flowed. Everything pretty much came together. I think at that time, for the pandemic was kind of coming to like an end. And right before I decided to move, I was like a part of this relationship that was not healthy at all. I had just left a prior gig, and I was really kind of at a crossroads of like, okay, what can I do? Like, what should I be doing next? And I sat with that for at least 9 months of just ideating, brainstorming, writing stuff down, erasing stuff and constantly having to go back to the drawing board. And then, kind of like a big pivotal moment for me was when I actually ended this relationship, and that person left me. And that was kind of it for me. I was like, you know what? I'm leaving. I feel like Atlanta, I've done everything that I could possibly do. And I think part of that is because you kind of do reach a certain ceiling for, just being a part of that community. And anywhere from, I worked at almost every recording studio. I did A3C, which is a huge music festival, Birthday Bash, which is a huge music concert, any ASCAP event, any BMI event I was working it, release parties, listening parties, you name it. So I was kind of tapped out, and I'm like, if I want to continue to expand, if I want to continue to grow and network, um, meet people, then I have to, if I want to grow, I have to go. And so once I finally like made that decision between me and God, it was easy. Like I sold all my furniture. I found someone to take on my lease. um, I had been interviewing for jobs, and I actually got a job the first day when I was supposed to get on my flight to LA. I got a call from it was NBC Universal, that they had offered me the position. So I literally, once I got to LA, I literally started on Valentine's Day working at NBC, and it was just like serendipity, like, oh, this was meant to be. So I had a place to stay in LA, and the process was easy. And it the only kind of challenging part, I think, was telling my family of like, okay, I'm born and raised here, all my family's here. My mom in particular, who is like just a huge supporter. She supports any and everything that I do, which I love. She cried, and I was like, "Why are you crying? Like, this is good." And so, it dawned on me that like I'm the reason that she has to come to LA. Now she visits me at least once or twice a year, and she runs up all my money, and we have a ball. We have a blast. Anything that we do, is always fun. So I would say to anybody that's looking to move, you truly have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's where you really can grow. That's where you really can challenge yourself. You find out, you really find out what you're capable of. You find out what you like. You find out what you don't like, and um, you know, it's just about having fun in the process.
So
Mhm.
what's it like working in the landscape of recording studios, which I'm super familiar with, being in Nashville, jumping from working in a studio to then working in sync licensing. Like what is that transition like?
Yeah, I think it definitely goes hand in hand. And I think because I come from that A&R space, where we're constantly having, our ear to the streets. We're on Instagram, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Spotify, we're on TikTok, just seeing what's out there. Um, we're at these shows, we're at these open mics. I think it goes hand in hand because when it comes to sync licensing, and it's important to be able to have a catalog and a library. And a lot of times when you're building up that catalog, whether you're an A&R or a sync agent or a music supervisor, you're curating a sound, and a lot of times that sound is tailored towards what you like and what you think sounds good. And for us, our catalog is definitely curated for a certain sound. And in hindsight, it is like being an A&R because you do have to not only see what's kind of underground, but also find what works and what doesn't work, especially when it comes to TV and film. Mhm.
So let's get a little more tactical, right? Let's say that I am a brand new artist, right? What are things that I would need to do to be a part of your catalog? Hypothetically speaking, what would I need to do? How would I need to prepare? Give us some tips.
Well, the first thing is you have to come correct. And when I say that, you have to be like the first impression is everything, right? Whether it's sending a DM on Instagram or sending a cold email, or if you see me out somewhere and you decide to approach me, it's all about that open liner, your delivery. And preparation is key. Like you have to be prepared. You have to be able to offer something of value. And for me, what always is going to pique my interest is when you show that you're already business oriented, you're already a little bit savvy when it comes to sync or anything music business related. And you have your stuff together, whether that's a disco link or an artist website or landing page, being able to package that up and present it in a way that is interesting, present it in a way that is still somewhat straight to the point. And it makes our jobs easier. It makes my job easier. So a lot of times, we'll get artists who will email us, and literally there won't be a subject in the email, and it's just no subject, and it's like, bro, we get emails every day. We get so many emails, and the very least you could do is have a subject in the email, but that's the easiest way to get deleted, blocked even. um, but it's those simple things that really show how serious you are, how invested you are about your craft. And you also have to be considerate of others' time as well. It's just like you would want to be considerate of your time. Being able to, um, like I said, just get straight to the point and be able to provide everything right then and there off the first initial outreach.
Awesome advice. So when
Yeah.
it comes to an artist working in sync, I know through my experience that you typically get a brief, right? You receive a
Uh-huh.
brief from the agency, from a supervisor, and that brief gives a little bit of detail or a lot of detail about
Hmm.
what type of music you're looking for. So, explain to our listeners a little bit about what a brief is and how important it is to follow the brief.
See, it's so tricky, and it really is a fine line. So with the music briefs that we do receive, a lot of times they are just music requests for whatever project they're working on, whether it's a TV show or a film. And in within this brief, they give a description of the types of music they're looking for. They might provide the genre. They might say they want lyrical elements. They might specifically ask for male or female vocals. And then a lot of times those briefs will include like preliminary terms regarding the territories, where is the TV show or the commercial going to be running, the fee, how much are you going to be getting paid? Are you going to be getting paid all in? Meaning, is it going to be a fee for both the master and the composition, or is it a fee for each side? So just being able to pay attention to all those things. I would say I find that the most successful artists are ones who don't try to create so much to what the brief is saying, because I find that a lot of times, it's them either trying to replace a song that they probably couldn't clear or they couldn't afford, or they just simply don't know what direction they're going in. So, like you said, sometimes the briefs are super, super general, or they can provide way too much information. And I think for an artist and for a creative, it could be a bit overwhelming. And I think that the best way to go about it is not to create so much or be married to what the brief is asking for, or to, I wouldn't even go in and create a song for that brief. But I find that artists have the most success if they already have a song that is similar or fits to what they're asking for. And a lot of times, if you already have a song, that means that you created without the intent of doing it for a brief. So when you hear it, it sounds uh genuine, it sounds pure. You really get that feeling. And that's the most important part, is like when I hear a song, does it make me feel? Because that's the whole key, right? This is sync. You're gonna be seeing something on TV or on screen in tandem with the song. So if it's too on the nose, at some point it doesn't feel authentic, it doesn't feel real, it's almost cringe and corny. And that's the last thing you want to do is have that feeling. So I would say create like as if you're making music for yourself, as if you have the intention to put it out for yourself, for your fans. You're telling a story about something that actually happened. You're reminiscing on a journey or a past, a night out, or a former love interest, whatever it is. Create something that's true to you and to your story, and that will always resonate before anything.
It also seems with that type of advice, it seems like maybe artists who have a bigger back catalog
Mhm.
might find some success in sync. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you already have like a pre-existing catalog, like you said, it's a lot easier to pull from that, especially if you, it can either work too, like if you are known for like a certain niche or you decide to stay in a certain lane, that always works. Or, there's tons of successful artists who have more of a wide range, and they dip and dabble to any and everything. So I definitely would agree with that.
When it comes to an artist's image, and you kind of touched on this a little bit when you were talking about authenticity
Hmm.
and kind of having a real vibe about your music, how much does an artist's outward facing brand affect the decision to use a piece of music for sync or not?
Mm. So I think it depends. I think for more of those like featured spots, a lot of times those fees are really, really big. And we've had a couple clients ask us for artists who are more recognizable, who, maybe they advocate for like a certain social cause. Um, but or maybe they're just within a certain community. We've had like, music requested from like LGBTQ artists. So if that's the case, I should be able to pull up your Instagram and somehow clearly see that that is the community you're a part of. It shouldn't be anything you're trying to hide or run from, but it's a part of your brand. It's a part of a selling point. And a lot of times, if it's like a campaign or some celebratory historic moment, it should be made clear to whoever this person is, because especially if someone's being introduced to you for the first time, I shouldn't have to dig deep and question and find out, well, is this person, are they, so I think that is super important. I think with developing your brand, I would say like you have to dig deep and figure out what is the message that you want to send to your fans, right? What is it that you are representing? What are three words that would define your brand and your attributes? Um, yeah, when I think of, put it like this, if I hear your name, what's three words that you want people to come, to think of when they hear your name? Um, and with that, you want to be able to portray that in your visuals, in your pictures, your videos, how you respond to your fans, your tone, and down to your music, and interviews. That should be made clear. I feel that the mystery element doesn't too much work unless you're like Beyonce. I think she's the only one. I know it works for like her back in the day. But this is in this day and age, like the fans want to connect to you more than just your music. It really is truly about the brand and like your story. Mhm.
I love that. I'm a huge advocate for brand. I've got a marketing background, and brand is so much more important than I think artists understand or really think about. I mean, if you think about some of the biggest names in music, they weren't just artists, they were brands. Like, I'm a huge Prince fan. I
Yes.
I adore everything that man did. But the fact that he could just take his name off of stuff and put up a symbol and you knew
Yep.
exactly who it was.
Hmm.
You didn't have to know. You knew exactly who it was. So yeah, thank you for harping on the brand thing. I think it's huge. But let's move away from the artist perspective and let's kind of pull it back something a little more, personal. Let's say that someone wants to be a sync agent or start their own catalog like you have. What would you tell that person? How would you tell them to get started in sync?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I actually was having this conversation last week with this student that I'm mentoring. But I think it really starts with having trusted relationships with artists, right? Because when it comes down to it, you are the point of contact. As a sync agent, you are the liaison between artists and these networks. So with that, uh, first you have to get in with the artist. You have to be able to, you know, um, provide something of value. You have to be willing to help. And then with that, having your own catalog, like building up a catalog of songs where you obviously have the rights to represent these songs. You understand those rights. You are familiar with the songs. You have conversations with these artists as well, just to kind of understand where they're at with their journey. What are some things that you could do to support their journey as well? Um, and then just it's just a constant building rapport with artists so that you could have them build a community. And what we're doing now is like uh we've created this community to where they cross collaborate with each other. So they might not have known each other before, but because we're all in like this chat room, um, you know, David out in Miami might catch a vibe with Carl out in New York, and next thing you know, they're cross collaborating, doing top lines for each other, producing for each other, and now they have a whole catalog. And I think that's super important is being able to build that community and connect people. So I would say that's the first thing. Um, Outside of that, like once you do have your catalog and it's there's like a certain sound that you're going for, now you kind of have to start doing the outreach, right? Reaching out to those who need the music, who want to license the music. And I think that's where the relationship building really comes in of like making sure that you know the right people, making sure that you're showing up in the right room. So when it's time to have that conversation, you're like, hey, I have a catalog of 10,000 songs, all one stop, all, R&B leaning, whatever it is. Make sure that you already have that groundwork in place. And for us, there's a lot of even though it doesn't seem like it, there's really a lot of opportunities out here. And I think it's really just about like for us, what works is we don't have to chase every single person or every single opportunity, but as long as that we have like a handful of clients who trust us, who are willing to listen to the music, right? And they keep us top of mind. Like once we build that trust, once we show that we're professional, that we're organized, that the process is clear and there weren't any issues, they come back and they come back again and again. And not only because the music is good, but because the business is good. And so it really is important of like, just having that handful of clients that, that will listen to what you have to offer.
Awesome. Adrienne, thank you so much. This conversation has been incredibly insightful. Um, so glad you were able to hop on the show. Where can people learn more about you and or learn more about Versa Music Group?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's always good to be able to like reflect as well and kind of like I feel like when you do that, it allows you to kind of see things in a different light and you kind of decide how to move forward from there. But for anyone that's looking to get in touch with me, the best way is to find me on Instagram, which is MS period Reeves. That's Miss Reeves on Instagram. I'm very responsive. I try to make myself accessible as much as I can. I realize that, that's kind of like an industry stigma where everyone's so, busy and whatnot. But I really try my best to respond to as much people as possible.
Awesome. Well, Adrienne, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris, for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Do That Music Thing podcast. To learn more about me, the host, Christopher Foust, you can catch me online at christopherfoust.com, on Instagram at chrisfaustmusic, or on Twitter at chrisjamesgtr. If you'd like to be a guest on the Do That Music Thing podcast, please feel free to email me at chrisfaustmusic@gmail.com. If you're a fan of the show, head on over and leave us a 5-star review. Thanks for listening. I'm Chris Foust. Let's go do that music thing.